Round 7 of the Thundersport GB Championships for 2017. GP Racing Sportsman and Elite 600s here. Danny Booth arriving, number 64 on the grid there, 9th in the championship. Ross Patterson is out to play as well, number 61 here. He is rider from Antrim. Good, fast rider, part of the racing family. Now, Robert Very, yesterday's race winner, was on pole, but there's been a right mix-up. He's actually not made it to the line here.
Yeah, he made it to the back of the grid. Couldn't go out in the warm-up because he was too late. He's actually on the back of the grid, so watch out for him. He will come through that grid like a steam train, Steve.
Well, we'll see how he fares. We now tip it into the hairpin. It's Ross Patterson that has the advantage from, I can't quite make it out at the moment, from that camera angle. Number 21 there just going through is Aaron Armstrong, but it is Patterson that has the advantage. Up the hill they go then here at Anglesey. In the terms of the championship, William White is the series leader, number 47. It's 69 in second place, sorry, couldn't quite see that, it was a bit of a blur. Keelan Irwin, of course. Then Danny Booth, 22 is Zach Corduroy. Then 72 Max Wadsworth, and then the yellow, white, and black bike is William White, championship leader. Coming into this one, 57 clear of Zach Corduroy. So still work to be done before he's crowned champion. Down into the corkscrew we go. And it is Ross Patterson that has the advantage. Zach Corduroy looking to make up a couple of places. Aggressive move underneath there. William White, the championship leader. Now into turn 1 we go. Patterson's still got the advantage. Here comes Keelan Irwin. Is he going to have a little go here? No, not quite. Both hailing from the same part of the world there, Patterson and Keelan Irwin. Not sure if they've raced each other much in the past. Danny Booth is in third. Then it's William White. Then he's retaliated on Zach Corduroy. And now around and onto the back straight we go. Just at the back of that group, 72 Max Wadsworth still. Wadsworth third in the championship. He was being challenged by Robert Very for third overall. Now we've also got the Sportsman Championship to consider. Very's win yesterday means he's in charge of that one. Keelan Irwin has just exited the scene now, I think. He's gone straight on at the top of Rocket. He's managed to rejoin, but he rejoins back in 6th place, something like that. Mistake there then from the Oasis Bar rider. William White got to keep his eyes on Zach Corduroy over the next few rounds. This is where it matters most. If Will White manages to continue on with his consistency, he might be okay, but we know that Zach Corduroy is capable of clawing back the points. He's won 2 championships, and someone's just gone down there. Who is that has just crashed over at the corkscrew? I can't quite work out who that might be at this moment in time. We've got a couple of riders down, actually.
There's one down and not one to go out again.
Red flags, we've got red flags here. This race is being stopped then. Not sure exactly who the riders were, but we send our best wishes. So you can forget what you've just seen there, because it's all start again. Here we go then. A fresh restart. Still no Very on pole position, because Very, believe it or not, who, because of the restart, was able to make the restart again. He's crashed on the warm-up lap, Sid.
First corner of 2 warm-up laps, yeah.
Unbelievable. So Robert Very's crashed.
He just didn't want to win this race.
No, obviously it was never going to be, was it, for him today? Here we are on board with Alex Lawries, now coming around the banking, and a bit of dust being kicked up there as well. There is Alex Lawries, number 48, around about 14th, 15th by the look of that shot as he made his way round Church Corner. There's Brendan Mallender. Mallender coming into this weekend was 5th in the championship. He won't mind seeing Very absent and crashing on the warm-up lap, because that gives him a chance to move up in the points overall. It's intriguing, this championship. So close in terms of points. Any mistake, the rest are capitalising on. The only rider, touch wood, I don't want to curse him, who hasn't really made any mistakes so far this year is the championship leader, William White. He's just gone about his business well. Top 4s, 5s all season long, dotted in the odd victory as well, and it has given him, I think you could argue, a comfortable gap, although he might not feel like it's comfortable at this particular moment in time, with of course 2 races here today and then another 6 left in the championship. Zach Corduroy definitely seems to be, number 22, the biggest threat to his championship. He's just up there in third place behind William White. Series leader then is up into second. The big loser of this restart is Ross Patterson. Having led in the first part before he was red flagged, he's not been able to get off the line quite as well here. He's dropped way back. He's part of the lead. He's leading that second group. The big winner, Danny Booth, Will White, Zach Corduroy. Just behind them three, we have there Keelan Irwin again.
Blimey, that cutback is unbelievable, isn't it? That first rocket in.
This will be interesting. With William White leading, how long does Zach Corduroy in third leave it to pounce now on Danny Booth? He won't want to allow William White clear out front. He did very well to try and close the gap down enough as it is, Zach Corduroy. Yesterday, the race winner, as we know, he won it from Patterson and Corduroy, so he got a couple of points back on Will White. He'll want to do the same again here in this one. He's got to try and give himself some sort of lifeline going into Alton Park where anything can happen. There are 3 races normally, of course, for these guys per weekend. So there's only 2 for them over at Alton Park. One is a double points race and one is just your normal 25 for a win.
Yeah, gold and silver format. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, where Zach Corduroy might have been in the standings if he'd have chosen to partake in the first round at Browns instead of testing in Spain.
Well, that's their choice.
It is their choice.
And, you know, he's playing catch up now. You can only do what you can do. Maybe he will rue that. Maybe he will. We'll have to wait and see. One thing I will say about Zach Corduroy, we've seen it enough with him. He was a Aprilia Super Team champion and he was a 450 champion.
Great rider.
Zach Corduroy
Great lad.
Is a brilliant
really
rider,
yeah,
and he, when he's in the zone, he really does start cleaning up some results. So Will White, despite being consistent, won't want to let Corduroy dictate the next few rounds. At the moment, as it stands, William White is leading this race. He's okay. Zach Corduroy, hungry though, behind him. In truth, even if Corduroy were to win every race from here until the end of the season, William would only have to finish second in all of them to still be crowned champion. There is Ross Patterson and Max Wadsworth. Further behind, there's the Terrier, Lloyd Shelley, number 19, and Brendan Mallender. Lloyd Shelley, by the way, just by finishing this race, would move ahead of Robert Very in the Sportsman Championship. So the reigning pre-national champion, there he is, you can see him, number 19, will take the lead of the Sportsman Championship with any sort of a finish here.
Yeah, it's been fast and furious in this championship this year, Steve. A lot faster than many people thought it was going to be, you know. And, oh, we got one down there.
Keelan Irwin.
Oh.
Keelan Irwin has gone down, and he threatened that in the first part of the first race, and he's got his head in his hands. He can't believe it. Keelan Irwin, we should just mention Keelan Irwin was 6th in the championship coming into this round and had a chance at finishing inside the top 2 or 3. Well, that has really dented his chances, I'm afraid. Keelan Irwin going down at just the wrong time. Didn't get a result yesterday here and hasn't got one to start today off with either. That leaves William White, Zach Corduroy out in front. And it doesn't look like at the moment they're going to be troubled there by Danny Booth. He's just struggling to keep up here with the pace. Up the inside there, the door was left open. Zach Corduroy goes through. So the men that are fighting for this 2017 GB Racing Sportsman and Elite 600 Championship, this is the Elite that you're looking at right in front of your eyes. Position 1 and 2 in the championship, a position 2 and 1 in this race. Further down there you can see, it looked like Arnie Shelton. It is.
Well, of course, you probably already said it, but obviously Zach picked up a couple of places on Will White yesterday, didn't he, as well? I mean, it's only a nibble. I mean, he was 60 points behind, was he, coming into this round? So, mind you, Will is not going to let him have it easy. Look, he's He's just got him there through the banking.
I have to say that Danny Booth has regrouped well. Let's not forget, of course, that Danny Booth is actually the class lap record holder here on a 600 around Anglesey. These guys are not far off that lap record set from last year, and now they're all bunched up. William White, Zach Corduroy, and it's almost as if, Sid, the championship for now has just been forgotten about. It's, you know, they are properly going at it here, not holding back. Punches are being thrown. This is more than just a race here between William White and Zach Corduroy, and psychologically this could make a difference.
Absolutely.
William White losing this direct fight in the dry to Zach Corduroy. Could it affect him in any way? Zach Corduroy would like to think so. That's like to think so anyway. Now further back there is Brendan Mallender. Then you've got number 5. That's Chris Helliwell. Just to see Chris out there inside the top 8. Then we've got Thomas O'Grady out there, Lloyd Shelley, Simon Napier, Nick Edgley, Jamie Devine, Sam Cox is out there as well inside the points. But this is the battle for the race win. William White at the moment with the advantage on his Triumph ahead of the 2 Yamahas of...
Backing it in as well, but he's left the door open there. Is there a cutback? No. No, Zach has held it. Unbelievable.
Danny Booth trying desperately to get his nose in this one. He has every right to fight these guys. Although he won't win the championship, he doesn't care who wins between those two. There are some big points on offer and an opportunity of finishing in the top 3 of this championship overall. It's just the way that this season has gone. There's been so much inconsistency from further down the field that if you have a really big weekend, you stick in a couple of top 3s, it can change everything in the championship. Corduroy it is then on that last lap with the fastest lap of the race, a 108.8. Danny Booth has responded with a 108.7. The rider in 3rd. What Zach Corduroy will be hoping for here is that Danny Booth can wedge himself in between him and William White, but it's not going.
Oh my goodness!
3 abreast there, and that nearly went horribly wrong for Danny Booth. William White it is then that leads, but he goes wide. He allows back through Zach Corduroy. It was here, gosh, all of those years ago. I can't even remember what year it is now that Zach Corduroy won the Aprilia Super Team Championship. A big fan of this place.
Wow, still recovering from 3 of them going in around there abreast. Oh, dear me.
Fast car circuit as well.
Oh,
around the final corner we go, onto the home straight. The checker flag is out, and it is a race win for Zach Corduroy, and that could be so important. Zach Corduroy has taken the race victory here, and look how much it means to him. William White, in fairness, is going up, I think, to congratulate him. He's 4/10 adrift, but it's another 5 points he's lost on Zach. Danny Booth in 3rd, Max Wadsworth 4th, Ross Patterson was 5th, Brendan Mallender in 6th. There's the top 3 then, Corduroy, White, Booth, and in the Sportsman, Lloyd Shelley takes the lead of the championship with a win. He finished that race ahead of Alex Lorries and Ashley Milburn. Race 2 then coming up. Let's see how the championship develops in the final race at Anglesey coming up in a few moments. Welcome back to Anglesey for race 2. Now then, championship standings, I believe, as we come into this race, Will White on 290. Zach Corduroy on 238. That means there's a 52-point difference between the pair of them. Here's Danny Booth, third in race 1, still trying to get himself into a position to challenge for a fight in the top 3 come the end of the season. There's Ross Patterson. Before the red flag came out, he looked like a potential race winner. Didn't pan out that way for him. And there is Zach Corduroy on the same row there as the Terrier. Now Robert Vary's on pole position this time. He's made it up onto the grid. Let's see how he fares. The race winner from yesterday, an important one coming up for him, of course. He is fighting for the Sportsman Championship along with Lloyd Shelley. And as it happens, coming into the weekend, Robert Vary was joint third in the overall Elite Championship too. Here's Brendan Mallender on board with, looking back to Chris Haley-well there, and number 20 was in the mix as well. That was Jamie Devine. Sam Cox, former Superstock top 3 runner. There is Zach Corduroy immediately trying to make up for what was probably a slightly uncharacteristic qualifying session after mega laps left him a bit further down. Anyway, here is the race as you see it. Vary it is that has the advantage. Number 808, race winner from yesterday. You didn't see him in that last race earlier because he crashed on the warm-up lap. But he's up there once more, although he's being challenged down into the corkscrew immediately. As we pop out the other end, he's just about held on to it. Danny Booth there in second, number 64. 61 in third is Ross Patterson. Then it's the championship leader, William White. We've lost a rider at the bottom of the corkscrew. Number 21 down and out is Aaron Armstrong. There is Chris Halliwell. A good solid start for Chris there on his Phoenix Racing Kawasaki.
Chris has had all sorts of problems, to be honest with you. I think he would be the first to tell you he'd rather that this last couple of rounds just went away. Just for some reason, he can't get on with the machine, the kind of suspension that it's got, and his head's all blown away. And you know what that's like. Once your head's gone, that's it.
Yeah.
But,
major moment. Well, it was a good move. We saw that there was a change of lead anyway. Danny Booth had gone through, but Robert Vary almost chucked it at the scenery again there. Third place is Ross Patterson. Fourth is the championship leader, William White. Now he's in, okay, not challenging for the lead, but the only person he really cares about at present is Zach Corduroy, who's a couple of places further behind him. This is Team Malley rider Brendan Mallender looking back at Chris Halliwell. He's just overtaken there Lloyd Shelley. So that was a nice move for him. There's Patterson, Will White and Max Wadsworth.
There he got the fastest lap yesterday, you know, and there is no doubting for a sportsman rider particularly, you know, there is no doubting he is a fast boy. But I think, you know, as far as keeping it up right is, you know, he's got to work on that a little bit, because you know, if you keep, apart from it being expensive and dangerous from the point of view of injury, you know, it's like no good for points, is it?
Well, he's a rider that obviously isn't got stacks of experience at racing, but
obviously not being in the Sportsman, you couldn't have, could you?
You're right, he's got the talent there. But you know what? It's easier to tame a fast rider than it is to make a tame rider fast. So let's see how he goes over the next couple of seasons. Either way, I think for him to be challenging for the Sportsman Championship and then still be in the inside the top 5 overall, a great effort from him. And we've lost Chris Halliwell. Well, you mentioned about his head. And I don't know what, if you've joined us for all of the racing here at Thundersport this weekend, I can tell you that that is probably about the 8th time that Syd has landed us with a commentary curse. He's been talking about a rider who was then promptly crashed. This is Danny Booth, the race leader, then ahead of Robert Vary. These two cannot win the championship, but they can certainly battle away for possibly 3rd overall. The men we're looking out for are just a bit further behind. Ross Patterson's 3rd in this race, but it's William White and Zach Corduroy we're interested in. And what are we saying? You've done it again, Syd. 2 in 1. We've got a buy one, get one free from Syd in the commentary box. He was talking about Vary's crashing, and I'm afraid he's done it again. And I tell you what,
Unbelievable.
Robert Vary's Sportsman Championship is under serious threat now because he could be handing another bunch of points to his rival Lloyd Shelley here.
Unbelievable, that is. Well,
do you want to pack up and just leave now, Sid?
I don't think I'm going to take this up as a career.
There is William White then, your championship leader, just a couple of places ahead of Zach Corduroy. Corduroy, it's odd, isn't it, Sid? He obviously didn't qualify that well, further back on the grid, but he's not been able to make the progress in this one that he did earlier.
It's really weird, isn't it, how that happens? It happens all the time, you know. But then, I don't know. Well, I don't know what, you know, maybe you just feel differently or...
The lap times are definitely... I mean, Danny Booth's posting a pretty decent pace, it has to be said. He is only a 10th off his own lap record, but beyond that, these guys are all a good 3 or 4 tenths off the race pace that they were doing earlier on.
Yeah.
Which I can't really put my finger on why that is.
Well, it's a touch cooler. You know, there's a bit more cloud around. It's a touch cooler, but I wouldn't have said that it made that much difference. I don't know. I mean, it's really, really hard. The problem is that when it does get cooler, of course, you know, it changes the viscosity of the oil in the forks and in the rear shock, and it changes the pressures of the tyres, and you know. So with bike racing, there's so many things to think of and things that can, you know, change the outcome of a race.
So it's Danny Booth that leads from Ross Patterson, and then William White, Max Wadsworth and Zach Corduroy.
See, Max Wadsworth, the conditions, if it is the conditions, obviously suit him a bit more because he's doing quite well in this one, hasn't he?
Yep, he's going okay. Wadsworth looking to try and pick up as many points as possible for the championship. Thomas O'Grady had a decent race so far, although it's flagging up on our time screens that he's going to get a 10-second penalty for a yellow flag infringement. I can also tell you that Nick Edgley's been given a 10-second jump start penalty from earlier in the race. But here is your race leader then, Danny Booth, 64. He showed back in the 450s and the 125s as well in the Aprilias that on his day, Danny Booth is a match for anyone, but he just always struggled to produce that form week in, week out. Really good lad, Danny Booth, but it just didn't always happen, although he was a Nitro Newcomer champion.
True. That's gone back a while, little way.
Here he is on the home straight then. This won't be doing his championship chances any harm at all. Then Ross Patterson, who doesn't really feature inside the championship. There's William White, that is important. He's 2 places clear of Zach Corduroy. Now, coming into this weekend, Zach Corduroy was, 62 points down on William White. And as things stand, we'd be going into Alton Park and the gap would be down to 57, which would mean that he's made 5 points up over the whole weekend over William White. Okay, he's not lost ground, but it's not enough to be...
That's a nibble when you've only got 2 rounds to go.
So I would say that despite just closing the gap down, if you were to offer it to both riders, what happened there? Chain come off.
Yeah.
Chain's just come off there on Aaron Bradley's bike, number 111. And that ain't going anywhere without a chain, I'm afraid. But luckily for him, it happened there, and he didn't hit anybody, so he can pull over at church. Because that can happen in the most awkward of places and be a big problem. So yeah, in terms of the championship, I would have said that despite losing 5 points, William White would probably have taken that at the start of the weekend.
Yeah, I'd say you're right there, mate.
Still a long way to go in this race, though. It could change. Corduroy could come through at the end. There's Nick Edgley. We mentioned he's got a jump start penalty coming his way. And Ashley Milburn. Coming into this weekend, actually, Milburn's got a bit to fight for himself. He's trying to get himself in the top 3 of the Sportsman Championship overall. He was ahead of Sam Home, Ben Watton. That's a close one, actually, that battle for 3rd between those guys who, of course, used to be pre-national 600 riders.
Yeah, he's had a good weekend, Ashley, as it happens. Really good weekend. Really enjoyed. Long while since I've seen that many smiles on his face.
Good stuff. There's Sam Cox up ahead of Edgley Milburn.
Nick Edgley, you know, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, he had some early in the season. He had some phenomenal finishes on the podium, didn't he? And he's just like gone off a little bit. Maybe he's like looking too much focus on his son Lawrence's racing and took the focus off himself a touch.
Yeah, but this is pretty decent pace that's being run these
Well,
days.
it is. That's the other thing, of course. Yeah, you know, it has got much faster, and you know, several riders who've come into this have said exactly that. Like, God, it's fast here. Yeah. Well, it isn't hanging about, is it?
Just looking at Zach Corduroy's lap times, whether the changing conditions are the answer or not, the race winner from earlier, he's 0.8 of a second off his fastest lap from earlier, and it is costing him, it's going to cost him some points here. The race leader, Danny Booth, is home and dry. Patterson second, William White third. Then it's Max Wadsworth and Zach Corduroy. Corduroy cannot even find any time to close the gap on Max Wadsworth either. Then it's Malander. Then we've got here number 91 and 19. And that is Simon Napier versus Lloyd Shelley. Shelley, by virtue of being 8th, is leading in the Sportsman class. So we'll go into Alton Park as the Thundersport 600 Sportsman points leader overall.
Just a little stat, because I know you are a king stat boy, and this might surprise you and might surprise a lot of other people, but these boys are lapping on these 600s only 2/10 slower than Lee Williams' lap times in GP1.
Wow. No, that is interesting. That is very interesting.
That is fast.
That is fast.
These boys are fast.
Despite the fact that there's some twists and turns here and there, there's a lot of time to get the power down out of Church and up that hill. You need the horsepower to get up there.
Last lap flag.
That is surprising. Great stat. So Danny Booth looks like he's on his way to a victory. How important will that be in his pursuit of a top 3 finish overall this year? William White, though, I think could be the happiest man on the podium at this rate, because he's still a few places clear of Zach Corduroy, who for some reason just hasn't been able to put it together here in this race.
He'll have a big smile on his face. Will.
Will he?
He will he?
Well, he will be happy, and so will Danny Booth, because this has been a great ride from Danny, and he's just showing us here what he is at times capable of. He's the lap record holder still at Anglesey. That won't go because no one's been able to beat that. The closest person's beating it himself, and he will go to Alton Park with an opportunity of fighting it out with the likes of Keelan Irwin, Lloyd Shelley, Malander, Vary and Wadsworth for that prize 3rd place overall in the championship. This is a big bunch of points for Danny Booth to get in one race, and he's done it. Brilliant stuff. A great win then for Danny, thoroughly deserved, and a pat on the tank as well for good measure. Raced a superb one there, did Danny Booth. 2nd place has gone in the end to Ross Patterson, so great job for the rider from County Antrim. William White 3rd, that could be so important for the championship. The series leader will have a 57, I think, lead going into Alton. Max Wadsworth 4th, Zach Corduroy 5th, Brendan Malander in 6th. There is the top 3 then. Booth, Patterson, White. In the Sportsman class, it's Lloyd Shelley from Ryan Cooper and Ashley Milburn. And now a look at the points then. And there you see it with your own eyes. 57 it is for William White going into the final 2 rounds. A big Alton Park coming up for the Triumph rider. Max Wadsworth is 3rd, but look how close that is. That is wide open for 3rd place in the championship this year. Lloyd Shelley then takes a 35-point lead. He overtakes Robert Vary, who's had an awful day at the office. 2nd here in the championship now, with Ashley Milburn still in touch in 3rd. That's it from us here at Anglesey. Thanks for joining us. We'll be at the penultimate round at Alton Park in Cheshire next time out.